Fishbowl. Jump in.
Hey, brothers, this is Big Love. Wanted to give a shout out to 99% Radio Network.
Hi, this is Boone, president of Deadweight Chapter of the Southern Dogs. You're listening to 99% Radio Network here on Fishbowl Radio Network.
This is Sergeant Ryan Edwards, United States Marine Corps, and you're listening to 99% Radio Network Live. Hoorah!
Welcome to the 99% Radio Network, broadcasting you live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios here in Arlington, Texas. You are listening to Sideshow Mongo and 12, and we are here to make a difference in the motorcycle community. This show is brought to you by the V-Rock. The V-Rock, the Veterans Resource Outreach Center out at 4210 Industrial Boulevard in Rowlett, Texas. Has programs for all veterans and first responders. Chris Kazar, a.k.a. Caregiver, has been providing community service for the last 20 years, him and his family, with programs that are beyond reach. They have no borders, so anywhere you are in this world, if you can get to Rowlett, Texas, those doors are open for you. So we are ready to do some kickstands up and get a little radio wind therapy. And what's going on, 12 and Mongo?
How's it going, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. We had a busy weekend. What's up, Mongo?
Another day in the life, but it was a very busy weekend.
Yeah, for those who've been following us on Facebook, you knew like this past weekend was Making a Difference weekend. And it all started out with a spaghetti dinner for the Rowlett, for the Arlington Rotary Club. I made the sauce, yeah.
Put a lot of work into that, didn't you?
Wasn't coming out of a jar, man. I was not making sauce
ragu?
out of a jar. No bite your tongue. Man, but it did come out good. Sure. Made about 10 or 15 quarts of really good homemade sauce for the City of Arlington Highland Rotary Club. Then we had the Southern Dogs Comedy Show. Let's talk about that for a minute, man. That was amazing.
You guys killed it, didn't you?
Man, I tell you, what a great turnout over at Scooters Bar and Grill over in Garland. Really treated us right. It was an awesome venue. The comics, every one of them killed it. Even me. I got some laughs.
I know Shiner was very happy with the results that they raised. Bikers Against Bullying raised a lot of money for that particular charity. You guys did a good job.
You know, the Bikers Against Bullying support group is great because they're making a difference. And what I like, when I was talking to Shiner, they are now getting into some of the schools where they're being able to really interact with the children and teach them the effects of bullying and how they can change the perception of bullying and maybe put an end to it after all. So kudos to the Southern Dogs. Kudos to Shiner for all the hard work and effort you guys are putting into it.
So we're having a technical problem. I'm having a technical problem.
What else is new?
Tigger's telling me that we have no video here, so we need to transition off of that.
Okay. So. All right, so hold on. Okay. We don't want to keep seeing that. Then there you go. There's a transition. Let's get rid of this. See, and this is why.
He was just given the class 5 minutes ago and referred to as an old guy, keeps forgetting.
So, all right. So thanks, Tigger, for my wife, Tigger, for pointing that out. And so then we had the Bikes for Tykes Teddy Bear Run, which was a huge success with American Guardians.
And I misspoke earlier today in my excitement to talk about that. I mentioned that they had made $100,000, but that's over the last 4 years. They did around 31,000, and still, that's an incredible amount. America's Guardians did a fantastic job with that whole thing. Be able to help a lot of kids, and I had to work, didn't get to go, but I saw the video of the event that y'all put out, and that Mad Dog and those guys put on a fantastic event.
Yeah, they had about 215 registered bikes that went on the ride. They collected over about almost 500 teddy bears. And I got to say, and I'm going to throw this out to you, if you're not in the motorcycle community and you're listening to this show and you're just a really good fan, let me tell you, these LEMCs and all these motorcycle clubs that are raising money, 4 years they raised $100,000. How much money did that save the taxpayers? Right?
No telling.
No telling. That's $100,000 that goes towards the children that the taxpayers didn't have to foot the bill for because of the efforts of one motorcycle club that put this together, Mad Dog and the American Guardians. So kudos to you guys and helping the children in the Children's Advocacy Center in Rockwall. And then we finished it off. Where did we cap it off at?
We capped it off at #WalkTheBridge Sunday night, and that was just an all-around great night. There was great energy there. CBS 11 came out and honored us with one of their episodes of The Ones for Texas for the work that we're doing to raise awareness about veteran and first responder suicide. The Texas Police Commissioner came out and joined us. He walked for a little bit before he had to leave to attend another event. Got to give a big shout out to all the North Texas clubs that came out and supported. Rogue 22, great to see you guys there. Our brothers from Invictus, the Southern Dogs were there. Nine brothers were there. America's Guardians came out after finishing up over in Rockwall.
Countrymen were there.
Countrymen,
Celtic Warriors. It was a great time. A lot of support from the community.
Yeah, saw a lot of new faces. Lot of new faces, which was really nice to see. We had about close to 150 people walk and run the bridge.
Yep.
Which, man, it was hot that day. And shout out to Sundown, man, for running that entire bridge. Didn't even stop at the 1 mile mark. Went all the way over. So he did 4 miles with a 60-pound weight vest.
Yeah, and fully loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then him and Gabriel and that other Marine Ranger, man, walked
Army
with
Ranger.
Army Ranger. Well, he was wearing a Marine shirt.
Said Ranger on it, but
oh, so it was a misprint?
I don't know. Maybe he was advertising both. But
But anyway, those guys ran. He walked with an 80-pound weight vest, and Gabriel had to have 100 pounds on his back. So I mean, we are making a difference with this Walk the Bridge. And like I said, it's a good therapy session. Everybody's, you see patriotism when we get there because everybody's carrying the flags that Judy Lamp gives out, and everybody's waving the flags. People are passing by and honking their horns, and it really gives you a good feeling of community and sense of pride,
Yeah, T-Mobile was there with their van. They set up and they were doing snow cones, but they also had their T-Mobile photographer that was out and about with the crowd and on the bridge taking pictures. And we got some really good shots from T-Mobile that we're able to pass out to our friends.
Yeah, if I think I loaded them up on I loaded the link up on the 99% Radio page. So if you go on that page, Facebook page, I think you just click on that link and you get. I think it was like 514 or 515 photos that he took.
And I think they made a point to take pictures of everybody.
Yeah. I think he got about everybody. There's a couple of doubles and triples, and he even got the dogs in there. A couple of the dogs. So
and that episode, by the way, is going to air on October 22nd at 5:00, just before the next bridge walk. As I understand it, they'll have some promos cut that'll play in the days leading up to that. So CBS 11 gets a big shout out because they're supportive of this effort as well. They want to help us to raise awareness. So
Yeah.
And if anybody misses the episode, they can contact 12. He'll have it DVR'd, and he'll make a copy and send it out to you.
Free of charge. So who do we got on the show today, 12? Who do we got as our guests?
So we're going to welcome first John Walsh from Omega Gamma Delta
Delta Iota.
Delta Iota of
Grapevine, Texas.
Grapevine. My boss, Chief Mike Broadnax of the Rowlett Police Department, and Chief Terry Garrett from the Heath Police Department are here in the studio. And then here after a bit, we'll be getting a call in from the Texas State Police Commissioner, Rob Kiker, and from retired Navy SEAL, Floyd McLendon.
Yeah, they were supposed to be in, but they had, you know how that goes. It's, hard meetings, quick meetings, impromptu stuff. They wanted to be in the studio to help support this cause, but unfortunately, their political positions and everything else took them away from us. But I'm glad they're going to find the time to give us a shout and call in. So welcome, John Walsh.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, appreciate it all the time. Thank you guys. Thank Omega for supporting the Bridge Walk and the comedy show. You guys came out. You did a good job.
Well, that's what we're all about. Forever be ready to help a brother. And you invited us, and I think this is the 8th walk I've walked on.
Yeah.
And I appreciate getting involved with all the charity events with all of you, and looking forward to more.
Yeah, Amiga's been very good. They came out and they helped out with the rebuild at the
Veterans House.
The Veterans House in Rowlett about 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, we painted the bedroom, everything. It was it makes you really feel good. All the nice things we're doing, and I really appreciate you guys inviting us to come along and do all this with you. Thank you.
Well, we always can use the hands. We can always use a little extra hands and support. So, you don't have to ride a motorcycle to help support.
Well, we always say we might not have any money, but we got strong backs, arms, and hearts.
And that's what you need, because giving your time is priceless. It really is priceless.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Grapevine chapter that you just opened up.
Yeah.
In Texas.
Grapevine, Texas, Delta Iota, Omega Gamma Delta, June 21st, 2019. We have about 8 members right now growing, and really looking forward to doing some events in Grapevine for them too. I have a couple of meetings to go to next month, meet with some people in the police department, fire department, and hopefully we get more stuff going on over there too. And it all started with me. I got in Omega in 1977, October, and
the year of the blackout.
I'm been in almost 43 years now, and that's why I wanted to give a shout out to my mentor, Omega Gamma Delta brother, the Godfather, Mike from
He's over in Florida, right?
Yeah, he's helped me tremendously, helped get started all these chapters. He's really like the backbone of doing that. Him, and Mike Dapolito worked hard to get this, and now we have over 10 men's chapters in North Carolina, Florida, now here in Texas, and many in New York too.
I just saw that one of the men's chapters in New York did Austin's Purpose motorcycle run.
Yeah.
For
Gamma did that in New York
for epilepsy.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that the brothers are out there supporting that. That was a big bike run. I think they had over 150 or 200 bikes at that run as well, raising money for children with epilepsy. And then you had, you have some of the chapters out there giving back to the vets, giving back to children's associations with bicycles and everything else. So Omega Gamma Delta is really grown into such a charitable organization.
Oh yes,
that
many in Florida have done so much, and in Long Island, New York, and even here in Texas, where everybody's going together and not just making a name for ourselves, but to help our communities, our friends, our family, and it's what it's all about,
Judy Lamp says you're a very snappy painter.
So John, how long has Omega Gamma Delta been around?
It was founded in 1902.
All right.
Been around since 1902. 3 brothers started it.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but some of the charter members and some of the prestigious members of Omega include
Vince Lombardi, and I forgot his name.
I don't
Dr.
want-
Bellows from I Dream of Jeannie.
yeah. You got
And so many other guys. Right now, you did put me in a spot.
Yeah.
I would have wrote it down if you were going to ask me that. Hey.
but you also have the Deason family is part of it.
Yeah.
Darwin and Darwin Deason.
Darwin Deason's in the Delta Beta chapter.
You got Larry North, who has all the Larry North gyms.
Yep.
He's part of the Frisco chapter. You also have politicians such as what's his name from New York?
D'Amato. Al
Al
D'Amato.
D'Amato is
His
part of
honorary
it. Yep.
brother.
So there are some prestigious names, and if you go through the fraternity book, you can probably get that online and do some research on Omega.
Yeah,
you'll see.
there's a website you can look up, and you'll see what we're all about and where we came from and where we are right now.
And it's big changes in the fraternity from back in 1902, where it turned into that, where it started out as a prestigious club, then in the 60s and 70s turned into a little bit of a a gang, right or wrong,
No,
because that's what
not
that's.
really a gang. We were the only fraternity. Everybody else were gangs. We did things.
Did you beat people up?
organizedly.
Did you beat people up?
No. I think the fifth.
So, somebody named Abigail just came on and said you're a great finger painter.
That's my beautiful wife, Abby,
okay.
with the Leaders Institute. She donated the bikes over
Yeah,
this weekend.
that's right. Big shout out to Abigail Walsh, Abby, which we now call her Pedals. Right, her new Delta Chi name for Third Watch is Pedals. She donated 10 bikes from the Leaders Institute to the Teddy Bear Run for the America's Guardians. Yeah. So big shout out to my sister. I got to give a shout out to my sister. I haven't spoken to her in a while, Jenny. Hey, my sister, how you doing? Hope all is well.
Chief Broadnax, you got a couple guys checking in saying hi. Hunter Hightower and Jonathan Craddock said say hi to the chief. So. Chief says hi there, Yeti, and JC. He's smiling right now.
Yeah. So there was one other person I know you wanted to give a shout out to after we were leaving work today, because he was like hounding you. He's like, "Oh, you're going to be on the radio. You're going to be on the radio. Please give me a shout out," which would be
Fernando at work.
Yeah. So give
Fernando
a shout out, and Fernando's a good guy over at the Omni Hotel, and
I do want to say Happy National Daughters Day to my daughter Nicole. I know she'll be watching.
All right. Well, John, once again, thank you and all the brothers from around the country with the Omega Gamma Delta fraternity who were doing good things and making a difference in a lot of people's lives. And like we said, if it wasn't for these fraternities, if it wasn't for these motorcycle clubs out there raising money, providing the help that is needed for these charitable events, a lot of taxpayers' money would be going to this, and a lot of kids and a lot of people in need would not be getting the support they need.
Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate
and,
it.
Always remember, Omega Gamma Delta.
All right, brother.
Thank you,
All
John.
right, thanks,
Thank you, John.
Thank you. So we're going to probably go right into the Mongo log, right? We'll go into the Mongo log, then we'll introduce the Chiefs, and we'll have them weigh in on the Mongo log, right? So you know what? I know you're a little technically dysfunctional.
Yeah, very dysfunctional. We have pictures for this Mongo log?
No, there's no.
No,
pictures.
we don't.
Okay, I was going to say.
You don't want pictures for this
We don't
one.
want pictures for this one.
But we are going to get right into the Mongo log.
Mongo! Santa Maria!
I'll believe it. And maybe one of you friends and neighbors kind of gather around and holy shit!
Here comes Mongo!
All right, folks. And again, no pictures because we don't want them this week. Today's Mongo log is going to be on a rant on bathroom etiquette. As I've stated in the past, I'm 57 years old. Of course, I don't know everything, but over the years, it has amazed me at the way men use public restrooms. Oftentimes, over the years, my wife, Rocky, has tried to make the best of our time while on vacation. For instance, when we have to check out of our hotel on our last day in Hawaii, but our flight back home isn't until later that night, she'll suggest, Just wear your bathing suit, and at the end of the day, go find a public restroom and change into your street clothes. To her constant amazement, this idea goes over like a turd in a punch bowl. Now, I didn't use that analogy by accident. I always tell her, I don't know what kind of Crystal Palace women's restrooms are, but men's restrooms are friggin' sewers. I barely tolerate them when I have to pee, and I usually avoid touching most surfaces in that instance. Now, at home, we should be responsible for the cleanliness and efficiency of our own bathrooms. You're expected to replace the toilet paper when necessary, hit the target when applicable, and in my case anyway, I've been trained to lower the toilet seat when I lift it up. I can't speak for everyone, but when I'm at a friend's house, the bathroom is for the most part clean, and I do my best, if I have to use it, to keep it that way. I'm not conducting inspections afterwards, but I'll raise the seat, I'll hit my target, lower the seat, wash my hands. I'll even go so far as to dry the sink edges if my hands have dripped onto it. I make an effort to leave it like I found it. Now, for some reason, when men get out in the public arena, they lose all sense of cleanliness and respect for other people. Instead of lifting the seat, they'll just pee on it. I've literally seen crap smeared over seats, and asking someone to actually flush the toilet, it ain't happening. I feel sorry for the bottoms of my shoes. Now, I'm going to cover a few basic rules for men when using public restrooms. In a larger public restroom, there will be a bank of urinals on a wall, or sometimes two walls. Your personal spacing is important. If you're the only occupant of the restroom, it's good practice to take a position at the farthest urinal from the door. This will allow the next man in to assume the position farthest away from you. If the urinal bank is smaller, say only 3 units, and you're the first one in, don't occupy the middle position. This creates an awkward situation for the next guy because he will have to either wait by washing his hands, admiring himself uncomfortably in the mirror, or taking a stall position. All of these options, however, are preferred over his last option, assuming the position right next to you. This option creates its own set of problems. One is the close proximity of your feet to his feet. If you've assumed a wide stance, then he either has to assume a less desirable narrow stance or risk touching your feet. Touching is forbidden. If you walk into a situation where the far urinal and the close urinal are occupied in a 3-urinal bank, take the high road. Use a stall, stare at yourself in the mirror, or wash your hands. Don't belly up to the middle pisser and utter, "Sup," to the guy standing there. Which brings me to the next rule. There's no talking. I'm not there to meet, greet, or be sociable. Talking is awkward, not socially acceptable or wanted. Talking can inhibit the natural flow of activities. There are 2 more standard rules to go. No eye contact. I'm not doing my business. I'm doing my business and I'm out. I don't need to identify you later unless the police ask for a criminal investigation. If this actually happens, I'll give them everything but the color of your eyes. Lastly, if you're alone in a stall with a delay in the natural activities and someone else enters the public restroom, make some effort to make a slight noise to indicate to the next man in that he isn't alone. That's just common courtesy. It may save you from listening to him sing to himself or perform a series of butt whistles. Now, there's a reason for this rant, but before I get to the most recent experience, I'm going to go way back and tell a few stories that extend from 1979 in boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina, to the last week at the gym in Rockwall. At the age of 17, I went to boot camp. Now, I've played football, I've wrestled, and I've taken 4 years of gym class in high school, so this whole common bathroom and shower thing was nothing new to me, or so I thought. In boot camp, I was in a platoon of 72 other dudes who were just as lost and confused as I was. The bathrooms, or heads as we were taught to refer to them, were a little unique. There were about 10 commodes in a row with no partitions and no doors and about 10 urinals. Remember, I said a platoon of 72 recruits. During every training day, we'd be marched to the barracks for our few head calls. One squad at a time in succession would march into the barracks and into the head to utilize the facility. Apparently, the drill instructors were always behind schedule because there was always 2 of them yelling at us to hurry up and to move it. These head calls, by the way, were not the time of day to have a bowel movement. The only time for that was during our very limited free time at the end of our training day or after lights were out if you could move about quietly. No, these were indeed pee breaks. 72 recruits being yelled at to hurry up with a very limited space to perform. So when it came to the commodes, we learned to put 3 or 4 recruits around the bowl and make the most of our limited time. Neatless didn't really matter because there would be a cleaning party in there later on making everything inspection ready. One day, one of our recruits from the Brain Trust decided his need to have a bowel movement outweighed the need of several groups of 3 or 4 recruits to utilize the very limited space. Marines improvise, adapt, and overcome. That private learned a lesson that day. His needs may have been very important to him. The 3 guys pissing between his legs, however, yours truly among them, did not care. I learned not to care about the lack of privacy, and the standard rules did not apply in boot camp, but now in my more comfortable life, the rules matter. I spent 2 months in the Philippines in Subic Bay when I was overseas. Just outside the base gate was Olongapo City. At the time, Magsaysay Boulevard ran from the main gate and was a 2-lane road that ran for several blocks with bars, shops, and restaurants on both sides of the street. Any bar you entered had a restroom open to anyone. The bars wanted our business, so if we walked in to use the head, they were hoping that something would catch our attention on the way out to keep us in the bar and spend our money. Every restroom had a restroom attendant, just like any really high-end hotel around the world. These guys weren't in white jackets, however, with combs available handing out breath mints. Each of these guys were very skilled at massage and neck cracking. Taking a leak while some dude massages your back and shoulders and manipulating your neck just isn't relaxing as they apparently felt it was. This violates the rules: don't touch, don't talk, no eye contact. I learned early on to have 50 cents available, walk in, say no, hand the attendant the money, and do my business. The massage and neck popping was 50 cents anyway, so he made his money, I was left alone, and everyone was a winner. When I was working at Burbank PD in the years before we moved to our newly constructed station, we were in a much older and run-down station. So in this instance, it was sometime before 1992. At the time, I was a training officer. I had a recruit who ultimately failed his field training and was fired. Our locker room was crowded, cramped, and connected to a less than nice bathroom and shower facility. All right, 12's excited. You might know this story. Now, everyone puts his uniform on and equipment in a different manner. I say to each his own. I would put on my trousers and boots, then use the head before getting my vest, shirt, and gun belt on. My trainee at the time did his stuff differently. In his socks and underwear, he dressed from the top down. I noticed he would walk into the head wearing his vest and shirt, but in his socks, and use the urinal, and then put his trousers and boots on. I decided to impart some knowledge on him. I took him back into the head and pointed to the puddles of urine on the floor in front of the urinals. I pointed out to him that the piss he had been standing in and then putting his boots on afterwards. I told him, it's not my job to hold his hand. I can only try and teach and hope the lesson is learned. It was not. I explained that even cops can be animals, just like everyone else when it comes to public restrooms. This is one of many lessons this guy just didn't learn. There have been studies done regarding the unsanitary state of even the cleanest public restroom. When the toilet flushes, there's a phenomenon called a toilet plume that occurs. I've actually watched a documentary on this subject. When this occurs, microscopic bacteria, fecal matter, are shot into the air. Where does this fecal matter go in restrooms? Well, it goes everywhere. If you're in a private home, you can lower the lid and somewhat shield yourself from most toilet plume. Public restrooms, however, don't have lids on the toilets. That shit literally is shot into the air. Then where does it go? Well, according to the experiments to determine where it goes, the wall-mounted electric hand dryers are one place. Let me just tell you right now that I haven't used a hand blow dryer in the restroom since I watched this. I hate even touching the sinks. The faucets where the water is motion activated, like at my gym, are the best. If a paper towel isn't available, I walk out dripping my hands, and if there's a door, I hope that the door can be opened by pushing it with my foot outward. In these fecal matter experiments, plates were exposed to 30 seconds of blowing air from the dryers. The air-blasted plates had on the average 18 to 60 colonies of fecal bacteria. A plate set on the bathroom counter for exposure to just the air averaged 1 colony of bacteria after 2 minutes of exposure. Further experiments at the University of Connecticut School of Medicine, where a non-harmful bacteria is developed, showed signs of that bacteria in 36 separate restrooms, no matter how far away from the lab that restroom was actually located. This fact is disturbing to me and brings me to the portion of this monologue that inspired me to close on this subject.
Oh my God.
I've been going to gyms for my entire life. One of these gyms was a Spectrum Club in Valencia, California. I'd been going to a better gym in my opinion, but my wife at the time wanted to change. It was definitely fancier, closer to home, and more of a social environment for her. What the heck, weights are weights, so I switched. Here's the weird part. The locker rooms were very posh. They were carpeted floors, benches everywhere, issued towels, TVs where ESPN and news program was playing constantly. There was also something else. Naked men. They were just standing about talking to each other, watching the news together. Some would have one leg up on the bench and just chatting away. If these guys had clothes on, it could be any office environment setting in America. I called this phenomenon the Roman Spa. The club was expensive to join, and for the most part, upper middle class residents worked out there. I was hurt at work in 2003 and spent the next several years working out at home in my garage. When I finally returned to a public gym, I joined the new Gold's Gym in Valencia. It was an environment more to my liking, except the locker rooms and the restrooms. The restrooms had hair dryers on cords. This gym was plagued by guys who apparently felt it was appropriate to blow dry their personal junk with these hair dryers. Remember what I said about the hand dryers? Well, these handheld units that hung on the wall catch the same fecal matter. They're just not mounted on the wall. So these guys are just, these guys are just blow drying their balls with tainted air. It's just fantastic. Ignoring the fact that even in a sterile environment, other guys would use these dryers to dry their hair. Seriously, use a towel to dry yourself off. So here we are in Texas. My wife and I go to a chain type of gym in Rockwall. I drink a couple of cups of coffee in the morning as well as a pre-workout drink before I leave for the gym. It's a habit that I have and I can't break. As much as I'd like to avoid it, I usually have to use the restroom before I leave the gym because I have to run errands before heading home after my workout. Most days I feel like bleaching my eyes when walking out of the gym. Naked and barefooted men walking into the showers, but not before walking up to the 3-urinal bank and using their business barefooted in front of the urinal. Seriously, guys, go to the dollar store, buy some official Hawaiian footwear, and wear shoes in the bathroom and the showers. At least there are 3 urinals, and these urinals have partitions between each unit. I can tolerate the men in underwear flexing and posing in front of the mirrors and the sinks. It's awkward, but whatever. What kills me is there are 2 hand dryers set off the ground about 6 feet up the wall. For the most part, men are blow drying their hair with tainted bathroom air, but they're dressed. A few weeks ago, I was trapped and traumatized. I set my gym bag down on the sink countertop. I walked into the toilet area to use the urinal. Following all the rules that I've outlined, I was wearing a workout shirt with big bold letters across the chest, USMC. When I turned to return to the sink to wash my hands and use the towel that I purposely carry in my bag, I found myself face to face with a pudgy older man, buck-ass naked and apparently very gregarious. In a very loud voice, he announces, "Marine Corps, huh?" I can't get to my gym bag without closing the gap between us by 3 feet. My wallet, keys, and phone are in my bag, so even if I wanted to, I can't abandon my bag. I couldn't. I shifted my eyes away from the naked man and to the spot on the wall over his head where the ceiling meets the wall. Eye contact would be more than awkward in this situation. I responded, "Yes, sir." He then asked me, "When were you in?" I answer, still looking up, 79 to 83. He must have decided that we are now involved in a conversation. He tells me he was in after Korea but pre-Vietnam. "So, what did you do in the Marine Corps?" I'm still doing my best to look up, but even at this point it's awkward to look up. I gaze down just a little, and I now notice that he's looking up to see what I was looking at. In my head, my response is, well, I didn't stand around naked talking to strangers about my military specialty. I moved from my bag and responded my answer to the most recent query, everything that I was ordered to do. I grabbed my bag and walked past him. As I passed him, I said, "Have a nice day." Here's the deal, folks. I'm on the gym floor every morning. Come and ask me whatever you like while I'm working out. I don't wear headphones or earbuds. I'm deaf in one ear. I'll gladly suffer the interruption. At least then we're fully clothed and not answering nature's call. I guess in closing, I'll just say, respect the rules of the restroom. Remember the environment is not suited for visitation. It's unsanitary and socially awkward.
That was good. That was good. I hope everybody enjoyed that and learned some bathroom etiquette.
So, Chiefs, comments about that? What do you think?
Well, I've been doing things wrong. Let me just say that. Especially at our gym at the PD.
Yeah. You know what? I had to agree with you on that middle stall bit because, you know, when you do have that bank of 3 and you're standing in the end and that guy has to come in the middle right on that the middle one, it's like, dude, there was one on the far left. Why do you have to stand right next to me? Bathroom etiquette.
Yeah.
What all kids should learn.
You can tell the guy that's
that's going to do that
Oop,
too
let's-
when you're at the range.
Pull the mic there in the middle so you can.
Tell the guys can do that too when you're at the range because they'll get right next to you. So that's the same. You got the same etiquette.
Yeah,
everywhere.
absolutely.
Give me some space.
Give some space.
Yep.
It's like that guy that looks at you and says, "Sup."
Yeah, and you know what? It's really awkward for me with my right eye, so I try to stay as long. I try to stay as close to the wall as possible.
I'm curious though, who gave the samples when they were doing the test in the labs when they flushed it?
You know,
Did you research that?
I did not look into that part of the experiment, and actually the research that I read didn't talk about that. But even I literally watched a documentary. I'm not sure what documentary channel it was on the toilet plume phenomenon, and they didn't talk about how the samples were obtained to do the flush test. But it's when I first heard about it, my son asked me if I'd seen that program, and I said no. He said, "Dad, don't watch it." He knew what my reaction was going to be.
I'm not sure I want to hear all that. It's maybe it's best not to know.
Oh, all right. Enough with urinals. Enough with fecal matter. Let's welcome our police chiefs to our studio. Thank you guys for coming. It really is an honor to have you guys sitting with us. And we want to try to bring a little levity and fun to the show, but we do really want to talk some serious topics on the police state this year. You know, where policing is going. Chief Mike, you have what? You're on your retirement, right?
43 years.
Try to get as close to the mic as possible. Yeah.
43 years, February.
43.
Maybe 44. I think I may be in 43. I started 77 too.
So retiring due to senility, or?
I'm turning 70 February the 17th, and going, it's time to spend a little time with the wife and do some things I want to do. I'm a big motorcycle guy. We go on trips all the time, so this gives me a chance to go on more trips. And so I've got my finger in some other things I'm going to be doing with some other chiefs that I know, and so I'll stay busy, but it's just time.
So, Chief, what kind of bike do you ride?
I have a 2017 Ultra Classic with a Stage 4. I bought it brand new at Longhorn Harley, and I had it stripped totally down, put the Stage 4 on it, and they blacked it out. It's the police edition. It was the last one you could get, the police edition. So it has a thin blue line, but it's blacked out. There's nothing chrome on it. The engine's black.
Is it the matte finish? Or is it the shiny black? Shiny black?
Yeah.
Now, you've been on a number. Both of y'all have been on rides all over. You go on an annual ride with one of your buddies, right? All over,
I have.
like a different route every year. Like,
I've been
tell
to
us about some of
Sturgis.
those.
I've been to Sturgis 10 times. I've been to the East Coast, West Coast, Florida Keys.
A little closer.
Florida Keys, and then I've been back down, and we went up to Center East Coast last year or this year. I take my trips and I think of them as journeys. I can always tell you about the good times we had, but it's more fun telling you about the horror stories of the trip, because I think that's what makes you an experienced motorcycle. That's when you find out I wasn't prepared for that, and then you think every year I'm prepared for it. No, so I think we're finally there after this last trip. We've got
Until something new comes along.
I can't think of anything that new could possibly come along. We've had. I could tell so many funny stories. It's just unbelievable.
But all right. Well, I mean, policing is a stressful job, by no means. Little wind therapy bring you down?
Oh yeah, I love getting off on the trips. It's an adventure, and I'll tell you something. What I learned about motorcycle trips is I'm tattooed up. You take off the shirts, and I'm tattooed everywhere. The people, this last political round going on with Trump running and everything, we went up the East Coast, and my perspective of the East or the North was all liberals everywhere. This is going to suck. And we get off and we're going up through the East Coast through these small towns and stuff, flags everywhere, Trump signs everywhere. We didn't stop anywhere to get gas for anything. That people didn't come up and talk to us,
really
welcome us. It was overwhelming. It just takes your thinking about what America looks like, and then you recognize it's the inner cities that's our problem. It's not the countryside and our cities like Rowlett or some of the smaller cities. We're golden in America. Stay away from inner cities, 'cause we're golden on the outside. I promise you.
I got to tell you a quick story about perceptions, and the chief mentioned his tattoos and stuff about the first time I ever saw him.
Right.
So I'm going into Rowlett for my oral interview, and I'm wearing a suit and everything, and the people that were sitting on my board were either wearing suits or they were all in uniform. And so I had to get there. I think my oral was about 8 o'clock in the morning, so I got there early, and they brought me up, and I'm sitting outside the office, and I see this guy wearing sweats and a tank top. It's a Harley tank top, all tatted up and stuff, and he's talking, back and forth with some of the folks there, and I'm thinking the first thought that popped in my head said, that guy must be an informant or something. I didn't know
he's rolling on somebody.
Yeah, I said he's up here talking to them, talking about something going on. I said, yeah, he looks like an informant to me, but it was the chief, and that was my first experience meeting you that day when I did moral board.
We talk about perception all the time. Not judging a book by its cover, especially with the motorcycle clubs. You look at all the LEMCs and all the veteran clubs that are out there, and all the first responder clubs, and that are raising money. All the guys are tatted up. They do look like big burly bikers. They do look like they would knock you on your ass if you looked at them wrong. But actually, these guys got kind hearts, they're kind souls, and they're out there making a difference. So to be all tatted up as a police chief, now you put the uniform on, it's perception. It's
Yeah, I was anti-tattoo for a long time, and I got married in 2012. And my wife, I ended up at a casino in Louisiana.
It all starts at a casino.
It did. And she says, I'm going to get this tattoo. So she got this heart with my initials in it. So I felt like I had to reciprocate. So I ended up with a heart on my right ankle. Well, now I go back to DeSoto. I'm in DeSoto at that time. I go back to a police department with a heart on my right ankle.
Oh.
Needless to say, I caught every grief, every spark.
It's a birthmark. It's a birthmark.
Oh, man, I caught everything. So I had to take that heart and ended up having a dagger with a gun in it and some handcuffs on it. And so I had to transform that heart to get them off of my bobo because they were giving me hell about that.
But at least you did the right thing by the wife that day.
Yeah.
She was probably happy you did that.
And all of my tats are law enforcement related.
Are they? They tell a story.
Well, yes. And what I found out about people with tattoos, take the time to ask them. It's an icebreaker with anybody because every tattoo everybody wears has some meaning to them. Yeah. And it's very interesting when you start finding out what that relates to them about their life story. So
yeah. It's a journey.
I like tattoos. I think they're okay. We let our guys wear them openly in Rowlett. As long as it's not objectionable, they sleeve out. We don't care.
A lot of police departments across the country now are allowing more and more. I see New York, a lot of the guys are all, full sleeves, and they're allowing them to display them.
You lose good personnel when you close that door.
Yeah.
And for a long time, police chiefs did it. I still got some police chiefs I work with now. Oh, no, you got to wear a sleeve. So, we've never got any feedback, negative feedback from our citizens about officers wearing tattoos because a lot of our citizens have them, and it actually builds a little more rapport with the citizen because, hey, you're one of us or you're like us.
Right.
Apparently this tattoo didn't make it up to the level of your office. That one there.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, but some probably wouldn't.
Yeah, somebody thought I might have been, a domestic terrorist.
I don't think that's what that means.
No, it's not, and they didn't know. But anyway, Chief Garrett, what do you ride?
Get this over here.
There you go.
I've got a 2014 Ultra Limited.
And
Harley.
you also you're now are you riding out to California when you go, or are you?
No, we're flying out.
You're flying out.
But Mike and I have ridden out there before at international conferences. Usually San Diego PD, when the conference is there in San Diego, their foundation will put on a ride, and it raises money for their law enforcement foundation. And sometimes they're $200 in that ride.
ICP this year is in Chicago, and I'm riding it in.
And so we'll go from downtown San Diego around Coronado, and then back up into the hills and Ramona, and it's a great ride out there.
And you've actually done some rides from here out to Mongo and I's old stomping ground in Ventura County,
right
up through Ojai, Fillmore, Santa Paula, in that area there.
Yeah, those are some great roads out there.
There's some fun ones.
And Mike's right. When you get out into those areas, people are completely different than they are in the city, and you learn a lot about this country and about the people that you're interacting with all the time too.
And you're talking about perceptions, and they're both professionally dressed. They look like chiefs of police and
Right.
and all. And if you saw them, you would know that they ride and that they support. But both of these, Chief Broadnax has been a good supporter, a great supporter. Actually, of Third Ward, we've had rides. He's always helped facilitate those things. Always, done whatever he could do within the limits of his office to make it happen. And Chief Garrett, you've done that Kaufman County Advocacy Center for how long? Tell us about that.
The Kaufman County Emergency Children's Shelter is one of the rides we do, and been doing it for years. One of your chaplains, Grizz, kind of got me involved in that years ago, and Grizz is one of the ones who I've done most of the longer rides with, and it's just a great deal. The children's shelter there in Kaufman County, they will get kids from all over the state and Oklahoma. They will come there in the middle of the night. That's the first stop for them. Sometimes they'll stay there anywhere from 2 or 3 days to a couple of months. And it's really heartbreaking when you go there and see that. So every July, they'll have a Christmas in July. And I don't remember the motorcycle group who started that, but they, we take toothpaste, toothbrushes, clothes, toys, different things to them in July. And you never know how many are going to be there, but it's incredible to see the faces on these kids when they see these motorcycles come up, and they get to go sit on them, they get to walk around them, and just to be able to interact with people that wish the best for these young kids instead of someone trying to do them harm.
Well, that's what I've always said, man. You ride a motorcycle, you got a big heart. That's pretty much what it is. And what kid doesn't like a motorcycle? And if you can bring a smile to a kid's face with a toy or some clothes, because I know how you feel like with kids leaving the house in the middle of the night, being taken from their family due to domestic violence or whatever it is, and thrown into a foster care or thrown into a shelter. One day seems like months to a child. They're out of their sorts. So it's nice what you guys do. I didn't know Grizz was a part of that. That's great.
Yeah, Grizz
That's
is
great.
part of it. Whiskers, part of that. Whiskers
wow.
for Wounded Warriors.
Very cool.
$5 Seeley and Mike Wilburn, both part of that as well. And plus, there's a lot of people that are involved in supporting. It's a very good charity.
It's really gotten larger. The ride has over the years. Miss Laretha, who runs the place down there, she's got a lot of things going on. Her husband was a rider, and he passed away a few years ago, and so it's she's trying to get some time for herself, but she just has a heart for those kids.
Mm. How could you not? I mean, once you're in, I mean, you're all in. It's hard to back away from that, because then you feel like you're letting them down. It's probably become such a part of her life that that's all she knows. You really can't let that go.
How long do most of the children stay there? Do you know?
Normally it's from a couple of days to maybe a couple of months until they find a placement for them.
Well, so they go from the advocacy center to placement in foster home or foster care, or
they'll go to foster care or maybe to a group home from there,
depending on their age and stuff.
Situation and the age, and they try to keep the kids together if they come from the same family.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough, and that's just you hear so many horror stories from families getting split up, brothers and sisters going to different foster homes, and because of age differences, and that really puts a stress on a child's mind. I don't know how they recover from that. That's another whole mental health issue.
Well,
on top of that,
all of us in here have been involved in those situations where you see it at the home, and you think, how can a grown human do this to a child? And so this is the way to be able to see kind of the next step of that, and to be able to show these kids that all grown-ups aren't bad.
Right. Well, it also gives you a sense of it takes those bad nightmares and scenes out of your head, and when you can give back to the child and bring a smile to his face, it takes away the tears. Makes you feel better as a human being that you can provide that, which is what we all ultimately want to do. Because as a police officer out there, you see and any first responder, you see that things that you don't want to see anymore, the unseen, and making a difference in someone's life, like a child's life, can kind of ease that inner demon inside you, you know. And you got like Mike, you said you got 43 years, right? Terry, how many years you got?
I've got 40.
So almost 80 years of experience between you guys. That's a lot of law enforcement, a lot of radio runs, a lot of different calls. Probably nothing you've never seen. And you know, the experience between you guys. I know we're going to talk about this when the commissioner comes on as well, but I want to just preempt it. I want to know about the change in policing from 40 years ago to now, and where you project policing is going to be in the next 5 or 10 years. You know, what you see it as.
Well, back when I started in '77, policing was very
the same year John got into the Omega.
It was very simple. We had a radio that had 2 channels on it at best. We had light bars that had bubbles on them.
Talk closer. Yep.
Had bubbles on them. The dispatcher took down notes on a log and wrote down the calls and dispatched you. We did reports by hand, and then everybody respected us, and actually had a little fear of police.
Which let me will you say that? Let me ask you something.
It's a healthy fear.
A healthy fear, because you know, like when I was a child,
respect.
Well, yeah, respect. But you bring up a good word there, a healthy fear, because when I was a child, if I did something wrong in the street, I would be afraid of the cops, because if the cops took me home, I not only got a slap on the ass by the cops, I get a beating by my parents.
Exactly.
You know, so I understand a healthy fear. What I think the media has turned it around to nowadays is to be totally fearful of the police, that they're going to murder you, they're going to kill you, they're going to beat you. You know, a healthy fear of, you know, being held accountable for your actions is a good way to be, right?
That's, I saw some transitioning with Rodney King. You know, when the Rodney King incident occurred, that's when we learned across America for sure that we all wore the same uniform. Because Rodney King was in California, and I remember we were doing a drug raid there in South Dallas, our DeSoto TAC team. I was the head of the TAC team. And I remember the citizens in the street chanting with their cameras, Rodney, Rodney, Rodney. And I'm going, wait a minute, man. I'm nowhere near California.
Yeah.
So I started seeing a transition then of the change towards policing. Some of it is we created our own problems in some ways. And then I think when I started seeing a noticeable change that I totally did not like and was not comfortable with, and I'm gonna get political here because I am what I am.
Try to lift the mic up a little bit. I'm just trying to get a better feed.
I'm conservative, so I'm gonna be conservative. That's what I am. When Obama took office, you could see the change against the police. Him and Holder single-handedly turned the public against us, and you could see the change, and that's when the hate and the disdain for police began. And, you know, it really has not changed much since then. It's gotten a lot better since Trump's got in office because there is respect for police. But our officers are out there on a daily basis just getting berated and accused of stuff. When you see the national news, you seldom ever see anything good we're doing. What you see is all of the bad we do, and the bad is only 1%.
Right.
Even if it's that much, it could even be 0.5% of the good we do.
And that's the problem. I agree with you as far as when the big transition occurred during the Obama 8 years, but the media tends to paint all of law enforcement with a very broad brush. So when you see one cop or 5 cops in a group doing something wrong, the entire occupation is painted with that stroke.
That's correct.
And that's the problem. The media is not. They're doing a disservice to the public.
They are, but I also think the officers that do those things are doing a disservice to our profession too.
Well, absolutely.
Watch when the cameras came out. Used to, let's face it, we did things we probably shouldn't have done. There's no doubt about it. The cameras come out, it starts capturing it, and the cameras ended up proving what they wanted to say we were doing wrong. The cameras ended up proving we were doing everything right. And so, but then there was those occasions when officers would jump out there and do something incredibly stupid.
Yep.
And you just go, dude, do you not know you're wearing a camera?
Right.
What is wrong with you? And then we all take that hit, and it takes months for us to overcome that. And we have to do 100 good things to overcome that one bad thing that didn't even occur Rowlett, Texas.
Right. Well, like you said, it travels it's that ripple effect. It travels across the country like wildfire. A police officer in California could, be just a bad apple because every occupation has bad apples. All right. Yeah. Let's call, there are bad cops out there. There are bad firemen. There are bad nurses, doctors, paramedics. There are bad people out there. There are people that just, or they screw up. But that has a ripple effect across the country. So something that happens in California will ultimately affect some poor cop in New York.
And what a lot of the public and the media don't understand or don't want to understand is there's different kinds of people that law enforcement deals with. When you're dealing with citizens, you have to treat them as citizens. They're not below you. They're not above you. They're citizens. There's an element that we deal with that have been incarcerated, locked up in a state system, and when they get out, they're different. If you treat them with the same kindness and respect that you would treat the citizen, they're going to walk on you. They're going to jump on you. They're going to knock the shit out of you. So there's a certain element of the people out there, not everybody, but we have to deal with them in a different manner. The problem is sometimes that gets caught on camera, and this is the way they talk to everybody. That's not the way we talk. I've been called into several chiefs' offices and asked, did you say this? I said, yes, I did. Why'd you say that? Because if I didn't say that guy was going to do this. I said, I prevented myself from having to kick his ass. The program went along just fine. Everybody's happy. He got his feelings hurt because I called him a name. Big deal.
We have a 3 nice rule around that. I won't go into that. But
When we come back from the break, going to throw a scenario at you because you both are old school chiefs, old school officers, and we're going to throw something at you because I'm interested to hear if it happened today, how you'd handle it. So,
all right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back and finish this conversation, and then a little bit later on after the break, we're going to hear from the PC, the Texas Police Commissioner, and U.S. Navy SEAL
Floyd McLendon.
Floyd McLendon, right after this.
This is Ed Gray of the Commish Radio Show. Double your pleasure, double your treasure. Listen in on the Commish Radio Show from 1 to 3 in the Gray Bowl, and then flip over to the Red Bowl. The Commish Radio Show. Double your pleasure, double your treasure. Listen in to the Commish Radio Show.
Mark your calendars. Get ready. Yes, the 2019 Fishbowl Radio Network Internet Radio Host Awards and 10-year anniversary celebration. It's happening on Saturday, October 19th at Studio 80 in downtown Fort Worth. Purchase your tickets today and join us as we party like it's 1999. That's right. Fishbowl Radio Network opened in 2009, and we are going to party like it's 1999 as we celebrate the hosts, crew, and listeners that have made Fishbowl Radio Network the largest internet radio network of its kind in the world over the last 10 years. VIP tickets available, so hurry and get yours today. Go to fbrn.us, click the Sharkey Awards link, and get your tickets now. This is one event you won't want to miss. The Fishbowl Radio Network Internet Radio Host Awards and 10-year anniversary celebration.
Attention golfers, it's time to hit the course for some fun and prizes. It's the 6th Annual Golfing for Grads Tournament, September 14th at the Riverside Golf Club in Grand Prairie, Texas. Whether you're a PGA Pro level or just getting into the game, the Golfing for Grads Tournament has something for everyone. Awards and prizes will be given for several categories, including male, female single players, and co-ed teams. So practice that swing and hit the course with us. The 6th Annual Golfing for Grads Tournament, benefiting the Turner 12 organization. September 14th, Riverside Golf Club in Grand Prairie, Texas. For more information, call or text Kathy Mitchell at 214-564-0501. Or go on eventbrite.com. Type in Golfing for Grads in the events column to register. Golfing for Grads, September 14th at the Riverside Golf Club in Grand Prairie, Texas. We'll see you there.
Yep, and you know,
put in the work. Feel
Fishbowl Radio Network. FBRN.US. Jump in.
Fifth Avenue Nutrition of Garland is a twist on your normal coffee or donut shop. Serving coffee, teas, shaved ice, and delicious ice cream shakes, pastries, and muffins, Fifth Avenue offers a wide variety of delicious drinking concoctions, ranging from specialty coffee, nitro brews, meal replacement ice cream shakes, to energy-boosting fruit-flavored teas. At Fifth Avenue, we proudly serve the Black Rifle Company brand coffee. At Fifth Avenue, we back our blue by offering free coffee to all uniformed members of the service. Visit us at 414 West Avenue D, Garland, Texas. Open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Hop in and see us. We have a bright idea to make you healthy, delicious, and fun.
We're back with the 99% Radio Network here on the Fishbowl Radio Network out of Arlington, Texas. You're listening to Sideshow 12 and Mongo, and we're having a great conversation about urinals and policing.
and Rocky says she can't see us, so we got another.
We gotta transition out of there. All right, we'll teach him how to use this yet.
So we were talking about changes in law enforcement and the way it used to be back in the old days, because we're all pretty much from the same generation as the way it is today. And Chief, you'll remember this situation, and I've often thought about it, so I want to just kind of throw it out there. Not too awful long ago, we were actually talking about it earlier today. We had somebody that drove through a side yard in a police car, and Mongo and I have talked about it. We, back in the old days, we did stuff like that, and so I'm going to throw this situation at you about how things have changed when you could do stuff like that and how you might handle it, because I'm just curious and I want to know. And this may or may not have happened, and all the names have been changed to protect everybody involved with it. So community out in California, gang problem, severe gang problem, although it wasn't immediately acknowledged. Had a number of little prison-related gangs, Norteños, Sureños, and all their little runarounds, and they would do quite the crime wave. Well, some of us, like Mongo and myself, would hit these guys hard, and they obviously didn't like the police too much. And there was one particular group, they called themselves the Party Boys, and they were led by a guy named Capone. And this group decided to show up at my house one day, all their cars, and they parked in front of the house, and I went to my boss, and at the time, he had decided, he actually basically decreed that our town did not have a gang problem. He didn't want there to be a gang problem. And it didn't change until he went out on patrol one night and got punched in the nose, and then all of a sudden we had a gang problem, and he had us go after them with everything we had, and we did. So these guys, they came, they parked by the house one night, and then not too much longer, they went and my then wife was going through the market, and they had an altercation with her.
The market?
The store.
Oh, okay.
The market. The store. And I went to him and I said, "You're going to do something about this? Because if you don't, I'm going to do it on my own." And he said, "Now, be calm," and all of this kind of stuff. I said, "Okay." So we're working day shift one day in the parking lot of the market, major market there, and I'm doing a vehicle unlock. Pretty simple call, nothing to it. He was bored, so he drove over to see what I was doing. And while I was there, this posse of gangbangers, there's probably, 10, 12 of them, they're walking through the parking lot and they see me. So they start choosing me off while I'm trying to do this public service call. And I had my fill of it. So he says, Wilburn, he looks at me and he goes, Wilburn, if you weren't wearing that badge and your gun and all that stuff, I'd whoop your ass right here in front of everybody and basically teach you a lesson. And I said, you know what? F you. I've had it. And I'm not getting no backing from upstairs.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
So I'm going to take care of it myself. And I said, well, we can take care of that. So I took my badge off. And he goes, yeah, you still got all your other stuff on. And I'll kind of speed it up. I said, fine, we'll take care of that. So I stripped all the way down to my T-shirt. And he goes, yeah, but you got Mongo over there backing you up. And I said, Mongo's not going to get involved. It's going to be me and you, and we're going to go out here in the parking lot. I'm going to take care of it right now because I just had my fill with that guy. And so squared up, and this is a true story, not making it up. I squared up. I'd made up my mind. I'm going to pop him right in the mouth and deal with him once and for all. I mean, there was people around. They were watching us in the middle of the day. And as soon as I squared up on him and had committed to hitting him, I drew back to hit him, and he wet his pants. He let loose and wet his pants. So me and Mongo kind of looked at one another, we laughed at him and said, some gangster you are. You know, you just beat all over yourself. Put my clothes back on, went back to work. About 30 minutes later, I get the radio call, 1019, the chief's office immediately. And I was like, wonder what this is about. So I roll into the chief's office, and he makes me sit out there for about 30, 45 minutes in his outer office. And then he calls me in and makes me stand at attention in front of his desk. And I knew I'm about to get fired. I'm in bad trouble. But the chief was really cool because he had one rule. He said, never lie to me. If you lie to me, I'll fire you on the spot. Everything else, you might still get fired, but we can at least talk about it. Lying, we won't talk about. And so he asked me one question. He said, I got a complaint from Capone and his posse that you challenged him to fight in a public parking lot. And I said, yes, sir, I did. I said, he came to my house and threatened me with his little posse, and I said he assaulted my wife in the market, and I've had enough. And I did tell you about it. I asked you to do something, and nothing got done, so I decided to take care of it myself. And he said, consider yourself verbally reprimanded, never do that again or I will fire you, and sent me on my way. So if that happened, and this was obviously way before cameras. This was like, I don't know, 86, 87, somewhere around there. How would you handle it today?
It's a little different. I would try to take the same approach if I possibly could. But the politics of it might draw you into a different direction. Because what you've done is you still had the uniform on, and you still did a public disgrace in a public scene.
I did. I made a mistake.
Which you embarrassed the department. So the bigger good for the whole, I might have to take some disciplinary action. Termination would not be my choice at all, but I might have to do some type of disciplinary action. Letter of written reprimand. I wouldn't go past 1 day off for sure, but you might be required to have to do something and not wanting to the whole time. We're in a situation now where as chiefs, sometimes we have to do things that back in the day, when you had that happen to you, that's exactly how I would have handled it. But today we're under a different microscope. And if that had been a black motorcycle gang, you had NAACP on you, you would have had all kinds of political activists coming after you. So you have to, as a chief, you have to do what's good for the community, what's good for your department, and what's good for the individual involved. Sometimes those clash.
Well, we were lucky there because we had generally great community support. They wanted those people, the gangs, eradicated. Yeah. They wanted those issues addressed. And again, it was very public. It was in a big shopping center parking lot, so a lot of people saw it. But it's not like today. Oh!
I like the sound effects. I'm just adding. Just don't mind me.
But you're keeping an eye on things over here, though,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So, Chief Garrett, how would you handle it?
Well, I agree with Mike. You know, I mean, the times are different, and you know, you kind of have to go with what the community will bear, and what kind of support you have in the community. We do have today. You would probably not only have one camera, but you probably have 10 or 12 cameras
right
around you, and so you're gonna get that public display. You know, but if someone's threatening you or your family in a real way, I think you have to take that into effect because you know, you're human also, and someone approaches you in that situation and basically threatening your family. We're not robots. You know, you can't get away from that. And all of us in here have been taunted and taunted and taunted. And you start off calm to the point do you say, hey, I've got to step away from this. Mongo, you handle it, or whatever the case may be. So I agree with Mike. You know, the times have changed. There are differences, and with the lying thing, that's the big deal too.
But let me ask something. And you brought up a great point with how the times have changed. But and we're not robots. And every police officer knows you have to have thick skin, right? You have to have that alligator skin or the crocodile skin. But how thick does that skin have to really be? Right, because, I mean, you get pushed. You get pushed and you get pushed and you get pushed. And like any human being, because you're not a robot, you're not programmed to respond in a certain way. You are human. It's going to get you, and it's going to throw you over that edge. And it's that's just normal human reaction. So they don't want you to be callous towards things, right? They don't want you to be uncaring, but they still want you to be, and they want you to be kind and respectful. But they also want you to have this skin that's like 4 inches thick. You can't. No human being can play both those roles.
I think that's why it's important to have an outlet, and for us in this room, one of those outlets is motorcycles.
Yes.
You know, I do scuba diving also, and a way to get away completely from everybody. You're not talking to anyone. No one's talking to you, and the same thing on a motorcycle. And so I think you have to learn to have those outlets. All of us have sat on not review boards, but hiring boards before, and you ask that rookie officer coming in, that candidate, why do you want to do this? And what do they say?
I want to make a difference.
I want to help people. I want to make a difference. You ask that same officer in 2 years, why are you doing this? What are they going to say?
For the benefits,
man,
for
I
paycheck,
don't know.
pays the bills.
That's a question that I had too. I know 30, 40 years ago when you got into this profession, it was because you grew up respecting law enforcement officers. You wanted to be like them. You're coming out of the military. You were used to that regiment type of environment. You thought you can carry it into the civilian world as a police officer. Then they went through a period where not so many military veterans coming in, but it's a job with good benefits. Then there was a period when we hadn't lowered some of our standards because we had to change the demographics of who we were hiring. I remember with Burbank, we actually lowered our, we actually installed a 2x4 on the 6-foot wall on our physical agility so we can get more females over the wall and just continue the physical agility test. So have you seen problems in recruitment recently? I'm not talking so much retention because I think at this point the people that are close to retirement, they're going to get their jobs or they're going to retire and leave. But bringing in the new blood to replace the officers that you're losing, are you having a problem with new recruitment?
I know we're seeing an issue with recruitment. We're not seeing as many applicants as we have in the past, and I know this generation is a little more tech savvy, and I've heard some say, well, we're hiring, smarter kids now. We're doing this. Smarter is kind of a relative term. We have so much technology now. I don't know if any of us could have ridden around, with a computer in the car and the cameras and all of that and maintained, our sanity that we have now. I mean, we would have learned to do it, but we didn't. You had to do old-fashioned police work. And at the end of the day, even that young man or woman coming into this profession, they may be tech savvy all over the place. They may know algorithms and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what's your job? It's to seek voluntary compliance of the law, and to enforce the law and to arrest someone. So you still have to do police work. And we have seen some who, by the end of their FTO phase, they say, this is not for me.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't realize what goes into it. Yeah. They believe a lot of what they see on TV. And they think that's how it's going to be. They don't know the man hours, the time spent investigating crimes, the tedious work that goes into it, the countless interviews to bring solace to somebody's family. They don't understand the hours and hours and hours behind the scenes that go into, making an arrest
And not only that, you internalize every one of those calls you come on, or every one of those jobs, like you said, you go to.
15, 18 calls a day.
So you're getting all of that, and even your family can tell the difference after the first couple of years. you're changing this and that. So I think it's good to have a good support group. You talk a lot about PTSD in here and stress, and those things are cumulative, and they build up over the years. And if you don't have those avenues to relieve that stress and to get those things out, and you go in the mall, you're going to be able to pick out another cop just walking down the street.
And the problem with the PTSD is it's for so long it's been looked at as a very negative thing. If you've got a problem with your head, you're weak. There's something wrong with you. Man up, tough it up, just keep it to yourself and move on. And that's the problem with the police and veteran suicides we're having right now. There's too much internalization.
We're hiring millennials, of course. 2 years ago, we were almost 10 officers down, and we were hiring. We was going out there and doing the hiring, advertising, not getting a good group and everything. So I came up with an idea. I was told it's crazy, it's not going to work, and I said, well, we're going to try it anyway. So I got one of my sergeants who's a gung-ho guy, and I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to all the police academies, and I want you to go get me some recruits. So he started going to police academies, and he went to the ones that people were paying their own way through the academy. They weren't the weekend academies. They were the straight-up academies where they were going the full weeks. So that means they were giving up part of their life, part of their money to become a policeman. That was their dream. That was their goal. So they had some skin in the game.
Right.
We went to these academies, and we began bringing them out and interviewing them.
Just answer. We just got to answer the phone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chief.
Hey, caller, hang on just a second.
You on the air?
Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
Oh, all right. We're just wrapping up with the Chief. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Absolutely.
So we went to the academies. We brought them out. We started interviewing them. At current, we're hiring millennials. That's what you're getting now. We have gotten some really good candidates. Brian, I think, can attribute to that because they're coming through the jail and he's getting to see them. We're getting a lot of good candidates. We're hiring a lot of female officers now. That seemed to be a very low fruit to grab for a while. We're getting a lot of those, and we got 8 in the budget. We're already ready to start hiring now. No, we're going to wait till we won't get them all done about mid-July, but we've already got them lined up, ready to pop them and bring them in and put them on payroll. So we're not having any trouble hiring right now. Now, some of them may or may not make FTO, but as of right now, we haven't dropped any out of FTO either.
I mean, that's great that you see that, but you hope they last. You throw all this training at it. You throw all this training and money at somebody, and you hope that they're going to do there at least 20. And provide a service for the community. You don't want to put all that time in and see them gone in 3 years or 4 years when an IT job comes up or, some corporate job comes up that's going to pay triple what an officer's salary is, and they don't have to worry about getting killed out on the street.
I think we're the experimental stage of that right now. Based upon what I can see of millennials, there's 2 groups of millennials. There is that group of millennials who you go, I don't want anything to do with them. There's another group of millennials that I think are mimicking the baby boomers to a strong degree. And I think we've hired a bunch of those. Now, I won't know that for fact. I'll be gone, of course. But Chief Godfrey, when he'll get to evaluate that on how long they stay. We have concerns about that. But I think we're hiring the baby boomer millennials. I really do.
I wanted to ask just real quick. And Commissioner, is this you on the air here with us?
Oh, it is, and I believe I'm hearing the great Chief Mike Broadnax now. Is that
Rob?
you, Chief?
How are you, Rob? Good to hear you.
My God, you guys are so lucky to have one of the finest chiefs of police this nation has ever known. A great leader and a great expert. He carried us through a really, really hard time here, and I'm so proud to get to be on the same show with Chief Broadnax. Mike, I hope you're doing well. It's great to hear your voice.
You too, sir.
What about me, Rob?
We have Terry Garrett with us as well, Commissioner.
Well, I understand that Chief Garrett is also a pretty fair country police officer his own self. He's the director of public safety for an entire community, has to carry 4 different badges, and to my knowledge, he's not a twin, but yet he's everywhere and does everything at once. A great department, and a great example of what a community can do when they go out and find the very best, and that's Chief Garrett.
Let me just give you a proper introduction. On the phone with us now, we have the Texas Police Commissioner, Rob Keichler. Thank you for joining us. And you have with you next to you, Commissioner?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have Melinda McLendon and her husband, Floyd, today. We have a great warrior, prior service Navy SEAL, and a great warrior wife in Melinda. So we've had several opportunities to visit. We just got out of a meeting here in reference to what's going on in Central Texas and in North Texas, more especially the 32nd District of Texas. And I think we've got some people right here that understand that blue lives matter.
Chief McLendon, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me on.
So this is 12. I understand that you and your wife have a bike.
Yes, sir.
What do you ride?
Yes. So I ride a Ducati X Diablo S.
Wow.
It's a cruiser. It's just a cruiser.
You know, I saw him run at the 911. Him and his wife run at the 911 Heroes Run, and I would definitely picture him for a Ducati because both of these two were speed demons with weights on their backs. made me feel like a sloth.
Yeah, but he's built like a mountain.
Huh?
I mean, he's built like a mountain.
Oh, it was embarrassing. I just watched them. I just took pictures of them. That's it.
So, Chief McLendon, we've had a hard time hooking up. So one of these days, we're going to expect to see you roll up on that Ducati. Okay, over there in Rowlett, we're going to be looking for you.
Well, just tell me when. I'm looking for an excuse to ride any chance I get.
Okay, we're gonna hook that up. But I had a question for Chief Garrett and Chief Broadnax and Commissioner you too. We were kind of talking about earlier about the differences between old school law enforcement and how things are kind of going now. And I just kind of wanted to get your all's take on what you thought the advent of all this technology that's available to officers now, because you were we were talking about the phones, and it's not uncommon to see an officer pass by and he's got his computer in the car and he might have 2 or 3 phones. I know some that carry 3 phones, and now we have this reporting stuff that we have to do. So your phone's constantly going off with messages 20, 30, 40 times a day, and it's just to me as an old school guy, it gets overwhelming. I don't personally like it. I prefer the old school way, but then I'm almost done. You call this a dinosaur, and I'm a dinosaur. But what do you think about that? Do you think it's had an effect on raising the stress levels or lowering them?
It hasn't raised stress levels for the millennials because that's the world they live in.
Right.
Now, for me and you, yeah, it kind of raised ours a little bit because we're not adapted to doing that. But I think the technology is really good, just like we've gone to that Evertel system with Growlette because of the new Senate Bill 944 law where you have to capture all your text messages. So we're all on the PDs on this Evertel system, so everything's automatically captured. Nothing's on the phone. Everything's in the cloud. But what that system does, it allows us to send out intelligence bulletins immediately. If you send out an email to an officer, they probably won't look at it for 3 days if they even open it up ever. You send it out on that phone, bam, they're looking at it. So
Right.
we're able to send those intel messages out with pictures and everything else. And when the 5G system actually gets up, I know they're working on it in Dallas, we'll be able to live stream from our cars back into the chief's office and every squad car we got.
That's just what every officer needs.
That's scary right there.
They're going to be thrilled about that one. But the technology's good. I mean, it's very good.
Yeah.
I know. I'm an old school technology.
Hey, I'm old school too, and I think that technology is fantastic, but I would be retiring voluntarily before I was forced out the door.
Well, I don't really want to watch them driving, but being at live scenes and seeing the activity and being able to direct some things that you need to direct would be good.
Me and the commissioner were speaking the other day, and we were speaking a little bit today on technology, how it benefits the police department and also works against it. Commissioner, you want to weigh in on that? Were we talking about the social justice and how the media plays a big role?
Well, thank you very much. I would say this to you, that the body cams, the fore and after cameras that we have now on the cruisers, the system that Chief Broadnax just talked about, gives instant accountability for men and women who didn't need instant accountability in the first place. They're doing their job, and they're doing it very, very well. You know, it's ironic to me that one police officer has to involve in a shooting, and it makes national news on every network, and he's or she is found guilty until ultimately proven innocent, and in fact had done their job and done it perfectly. But the 1,723,000 sworn officers and ancillary personnel that serve this great country, not one of them was mentioned in the nightly news.
Right.
I think that's a pretty alarming statistic, and the facts of the case are simple. The media that we have, the technology we have, proves beyond a shadow of a doubt of the great job that our men and women in blue are doing, and they're doing every day. Now, here's you a perfect example. A young man's being stabbed in a neighboring state, and instead of coming to his help and to his aid, they all reached for their phones and started videoing it. Yep. Yes, the young man died, but did he die from stab wounds totally? Or did he die from abject apathy of those that were looking on, or perhaps they wanted the national notoriety of getting a little video posted? The big problem here is they're not their brother's keeper.
I think you're 100% right on that, and you see that more and more on YouTube. You see fights, you see robberies being taken place, and everybody's on the video cameras, and nobody's stepping in to help these innocent victims of these crimes. They think it's they think they're getting their 10 or 15 minutes of fame on YouTube, where someone is really suffering greatly because you rather take a picture than step in and help.
And where it's getting political too is California with Governor Newsom eliminating the posse comitatus, where you're no longer required to help a police officer when requested. It's absolutely crazy. And then the media compounds that because they'll show the 5-second soundbite, which makes the police, paints them in a very bad picture, and that puts the public opinion against us. But then when the full story comes out, whether it be in court or down the road, when we get the full 55-second clip, it shows the full story, and the police are exonerated legally, but in the minds of the public, we're still the bad guys.
Channel 4 just recently, what was the recent one here in the last couple of months, where the suspect took off running, turned
had the gun
sideways, and he was running, shooting at the officers back underneath his arm, and it's Channel 4, remember?
Yeah, and the perp was shot in the back.
Officer shoots suspect in back.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, he's running. Yes, that's where they shot him at. Why
So,
he was shooting at him.
So perception of law enforcement, and I know me and Rob talked about this too, is that the media shows the 1% of faulted officers or the bad officers, and doesn't show the other 99% of the good. So they paint, like you said, Mongo, they paint every law enforcement with that same broad brush, which gives law enforcement a bad taste in the public's mouth, because that's all they see. It's almost like a propaganda video. It just keeps running every night about how bad our police are, and then you start to believe that. And especially in the inner city neighborhoods, that happens. You know, when the unity is really there. 100 people love the police. That one person does it. That one person is going to get the publicity.
Well, when people don't get rulings the way they want them through the courts, then they take it to the street in the court of public opinion, or what's known as social justice.
Right.
Those of us who respect and love the rule of law, including every sworn officer that we have, and anyone that's ever raised their hand and given the oath of office and worn the olive of this great country, whether they've worn the flag of the country on their shoulder or the badge on their blue, they all love the rule of law. But you know what? They're not the ones that's buying the media and they're not the ones that's controlling the conversation. It's done by those few people, less than 1%. I'm happy and excited about how the public is starting to realize that they're sitting on their hands of do nothing is causing great damage. For every one person that likes to see the negative news story, there's 10,000 people out there that don't like that story, and they support our sworn officers. So you know what they do? They turn off the media and they get their news somewhere else. It's starting to come to the point to where now these same people are coming to the rally and the aid of sworn officers. And you start to see this in the communities, and you start to see it in your daily drive. Come with me down the toll road and see how many people acknowledge and wave with all five fingers, I might add, to our sworn officers. See how many times you go to the restaurant and you see a couple of officers back there having a modest meal and trying just to take a moment off from their stressful jobs and go up to the cash register and tell the manager, hey, their lunch is on me. Don't give them a ticket. And the manager says, no, sir, you can't buy their lunch. Why not? Because there's five people in front of you, and one of them already got it. You're starting to see more and more and more of that in the community. So the silent majority is now realizing they're as much at fault for the negative press and the negative response that our sworn officers are getting by their silence. So they're starting not to be silent. And I'm very encouraged by that, very hopeful by that. And it's through the great leadership of the men and women that we have that serve this great country. And sidekick, I got to tell you, it's our duty to serve those who first served us.
I agree.
And
I agree.
So honored to get to be part of that.
And see, if we can flip the script and the media starts showing the 100 acts of kindness that officers do on a daily basis, like changing tires, helping somebody with their packages. You see these acts of kindness that these officers do on top of, above and beyond their regular job scope. And if they would honor our officers and show what our officers are doing for our community, and stay away and let the judicial system judge people through the proper channels instead of in a court of opinion, like you said, the social justice. Maybe we can get back on track.
And even those few that they do show, someone pulling someone out of a burning car or wreck or whatever it might be, I guarantee you that same officer and more officers than that are doing multiple things off duty.
Yes,
not in uniform, but as part of their community.
Yep.
Fitting in.
Yeah, because we're cut from a certain cloth. So most cops' jobs don't stop when they clock out. They are part of their church. They're a part of their community-based programs. They're part of a charitable event. They're part of a law enforcement motorcycle club that raises $31,000 on a weekend for a Child's Advocacy Center.
Chief, I don't know if you know this or not, but there was one of our officers that came across a homeless veteran while on duty, met him on a call, and long story short, it might not always be the smartest thing to do, but he was able to clearly vet this guy. He gave him a place to stay at his own home, fed him, took care of him for an extended period of time. Did you know about this story? I'll tell you later off the air who it was, but I was so impressed by that. He came and told me. We helped him through the VROC, but he took him home and the guy mowed the yard. He earned his keep and he never said I wouldn't if it hadn't been for the connection with the VROC, I wouldn't have found out about it either because he didn't tell anybody. He just took this guy home and he stayed there for I think it was about 6 weeks. And this officer helped him out, and until he could get back on his feet, which he did, and then he went on his way. It's just there's many other stories like that where people
Right.
don't ever see it. They see this, like Mongo was saying, that 5-second clip of something
Right.
bad, but they don't know all this other stuff that's going on behind the scene.
We have rallied officers do things of this kind all the time. I'm very proud of our department and our guys. We have big hearts at Rowlett Police Department.
Well, and this is an excellent segue into Floyd. When we look at somebody running for office, all right, we look at the now, what their promises are and what their aspirations are. But I look at their past. I look at what did you do past before your political career wanted to start. And if you look at Floyd, okay, he was 100 based community service, country service, state. He gave back 100% prior to even trying to run for Congress. He gave to his country as a Navy SEAL. He had perseverance. He never gave up. He rang the bell. I read that about you, pal. I'm sorry, but he rang the bell, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. And he went back, and he did it. That's the type of person you want in office, a person that's going to say, I'm not going to quit. If I fail, I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to make sure we don't fail again.
Chief McLendon.
Floyd, I've got a question for you, Floyd. Right now,
I'm listening, go ahead.
with the political season, I watch the news all the time. I turn the TV on. All I see is politics, people campaigning all over the place. So it's a constant thing for them 24/7. So I can imagine what you're going through right now. How would you compare the campaigning and the process you're going through right now with the process you went through with the teams? I realize it's a different realm, but it's got to be a constant thing. It never stops. So how are you dealing with the constant campaigning?
Well, I will say it's less physical than what I'm used to. But being a Navy SEAL or having the aspiration or working toward becoming a Navy SEAL, I mean, I thought about it all the time. If I wasn't doing something to improve myself to become a Navy SEAL, I was educating myself to become a Navy SEAL. I mean, I slept, ate, breathed it, trained it. So it's also similar with what my purpose is now in becoming a leader for District 32 is it's constant. It just never stops. And I feel just as when I was a Navy SEAL, I felt like if I took any time off or if I devoted my energy to anything else, then potentially, worst case scenario, I would not have been prepared, to protect my brothers and sisters downrange. So, and I kind of feel that way now. So it's 100 miles an hour. It's every day. And I feel like if I take any time off, that I'll do disservice to the people of District 32 once I become their leader.
And Floyd, there was another thing that I'm not going to throw you under the bus or anything, I promise, but I read about you, which was an inspiration that, becoming a Navy SEAL, but you had an issue with swimming, right? But you went and you had an issue with swimming, but you went and you learned it and you mastered it.
The issue was I didn't know how to swim.
Which shows me there is nothing you cannot accomplish. There is nothing you cannot accomplish in your life and for the lives of others.
Well, you know what? That has a lot to do with the people before me, like my family, my church, my teammates. So this wasn't just about me.
Right.
It was a lot of people invested in ensuring that I was successful, especially during those times where I fell short. So, the love and appreciation goes to them because they never quit on me. So I felt extremely obligated, to not quit on them and continue to push. I mean, and that was really the only thing that I was afraid of, and that was just letting down those who have supported me and also too setting an example for those that's going to come after me.
Chief McLendon, I have a question for you. The 99% Radio Network doesn't endorse political candidates, but we all vote. We all have opinions and thoughts. And something that's important to me is the concept of brotherhood. And as a Navy SEAL, as a Navy enlisted man, I know you understand that concept far better than most. I know you're aware of the recent news that was made about SEAL Team 7 and all of that, what happened. And Chief Broadnax was mentioning millennials versus those of us from, can't even tell what's our generation called? The baby boomer generation. Tell me, because you want my vote, tell me what your definition of brotherhood, what does that mean to you? What does brotherhood mean to you?
I mean, it's pretty simple. I could sum it up in one word, and that's love.
Yeah.
That's it.
For your
when
brothers?
I mean, you got to understand humans. So my perspective, I'm giving you my perspective now. Now, I believe humans was put on this earth as social creatures, meaning that we are innately wired to be connected to one another. And when we focus on our brothers and sisters, that's when we're our happiest. Now, over time, what you've seen is, somehow we've gotten away from advertising that. It's not sexy, right? It's not pretty. It's not eye-catching. Love is patient. It's quiet. It's very serene, and those type of things you don't see in social media. You don't see in the news. You don't see anywhere. But when we are in a place of love for one another, that's when we're our most happiest. And, that's what drove me, as far as, being a brother, to you, defending our country, being a brother to my, my fellow combat veterans, to the military. And that's really the very first thought process when it comes to brotherhood. If you love those next to you, then you're willing to sacrifice and do whatever it is it takes for their well-being, regardless of how it's going to affect you.
See, that's something, that concept is something very important to me, and I'm an old school guy, and I don't know the facts of that whole case against Chief Gallagher and Team 7 and the split, but I think it's fair to say that there was definitely a split there. These guys all went to they all deployed together. They all went to combat together. I'm assuming that they risked their lives for one another. And then all of a sudden you have this split where you have brothers turning on brothers. And, Chief Gallagher was acquitted, so you have to at least assume that none of the allegations against him were true. And everybody knows things happen in combat that are ugly. It's a bad situation, but turning against your brothers, especially if they're right, and I'm assuming that Chief Gallagher was right, that's like the cardinal sin for me. You can't that if your brother is right, how can you turn your back on your brother? How could you dime your brother out if you really were a brother in the first place? I don't understand that, and that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because it's important to me. For me, that's the base of everything. My brothers that I'm with on a regular basis, there's very few things in my life that are more important to me than that, and my relation, my love for them. I would do, frankly, just about anything for them.
Well, I can understand your sentiment, and like first and foremost, I don't have all the facts. All I know is what I've read in the newspaper and on TV. Now, what I do know from personal experience of operating with Eddie Gallagher downrange is he conducted himself, like a true brother, a true warrior. But that's my specific experience with him, because we was in the same platoon. But here's another thought process. You got to understand we're human. And Navy SEALs, we're at the tip of the spear. So all humans are fallible. Right? All of us. Like we come from, the only person that walked this earth and didn't sin was Jesus Christ. So in understanding that, and also understanding that we are at the tip of the spear, that means that there is a huge spotlight on us. So whenever there is a perception that someone who's a Navy SEAL has has fallen from grace because of how we're viewed, it's disappointing, and it's also it's hurtful because we're thought of so greatly.
You held at a high standard.
But the bottom, yeah. So just understanding those things, I think that, we can come together and support each other throughout anything that we're going through. And here's one other thing: America is the greatest country on earth.
Oh,
and you have to understand, myself and my fellow brothers and sisters as veterans, we put our lives on the line just as law enforcement does every single day. There's situations that training just cannot mimic. And understanding, like, these individuals who has committed themselves to service and love for our community and country, like, we need to get behind that, and we need to support that, and then we need to stop amplifying one out of a million, shortcomings. We need to start looking at the masses and the great things that we're doing together in order to defend this country and defend our states, our cities, and our districts.
Well, Chief, this is what's really drawn me to you a lot, and you've earned my utmost respect on this. Is you, like I said, past performance really means a lot to me. So you've given so much to your community. You've given so much. Blood, sweat, and tears, I bet. I'm not a veteran, but I know, it's not easy becoming a SEAL and the whole bit. And you've deployed 5 times. You've now, at this stage in your life, most people would be saying, I'm ready to retire. I'm going to go running with my beautiful wife, and I'm going to enjoy. But no. But you turn around and say, you know what? I want to make a change in the community. I want to bring better for the people of that district. I want to show my experience. I want to bring my perseverance and help even more when people know that you could retire comfortably, probably, and be happy and enjoy from all the stress you had. But now you're taking on this next step, which I feel is so commendable upon what you've already done for the United States of America.
Thank you very much. It's a continuous way for me to serve. And the other night I was at a dinner with multiple Medal of Honor winners, and just being around them, listening to their stories, made me feel really, really small. It made me feel like that I still had not met a level that they had achieved. So, just surrounding myself around individuals like that, I mean, there's no way that I can stop, because the past 25 years, everyone who's helped me get to this point, talking to you on a radio show, and everyone who supports me right now, I still feel as if I owe them. I feel like I owe you as a leader, and I feel like I still owe the American people to do my part. And I don't think that's ever going to stop.
Well, that's because you have that in you. You have that. When I talk to the chiefs, like when I was talking to Mike and Terry, even as a police chief, you get off work, you're still willing to help. It's certain people are cut from a certain cloth of God, and I always say that is that God cuts certain cloths and that make up individuals. That's why we are who we are. That's why we do what we do, because not everybody can do what we do out there. Everybody's got a purpose in life, and I think your purpose is to become a congressman. That's what I think your purpose in life is, there, Floyd. I really do.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll tell you, like I said, I was a detective in New York City. I have a pretty good I'm a pretty good judge of character. So I saw you on that at the 9/11 Heroes Run, and just talking to you for that few minutes, I seen you were genuine. You were passionate about what you're doing. You were intelligent. Your integrity is flawless, and I think you're gonna do great for that district. And I wish you the best at the elections.
Okay, so you didn't get the feeling that my wife was prodding me with a whip, telling me I better finish this strong.
Okay. I did
Right.
notice she was carrying more weight, and I did notice she was outrunning you by about 3 or 4 steps. Floyd, I think you got to step up your game. I think you got to get to the gym more. All right, because I think she's really outdoing you.
Oh man. Okay, I'll step it up.
But I'm gonna send Melinda a shout out too, because one thing behind every successful man is that supportive woman. We're in a studio full of men here, and I'll tell you right now, none of us could have probably done half the stuff we've done in life if we didn't have that strong backbone behind us. And we discussed this about some of the women that are in the biker community. Man, they are our backbones. So God bless, our support network that doesn't get to be put on that pedestal all the time. We usually get that limelight, and they're out there just saying, "Oh, how about me?" And I want to just give a shout out to them.
Thank you.
Melinda,
so welcome.
Chief, thanks for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it. Commissioner, thank you very much for calling in, and thank you for showing up the other day at the bridge. I'll tell you what, I really think your presence there is going to help take that over the top. So thank you very much for that.
Well, you're welcome. And may I ask if there's any possibility that I can come back on the 25th of October and try it again?
It'll be on the 22nd of October. We'd love to have
22nd?
you. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, here's the deal. I'll come, but I'm not wearing boots this next time. How's that?
That'll work. But thank you very much for coming.
Hey, before you guys go, because we're going to have to close, we're going to have to wrap it up in about 3 minutes, but we have Preacher from Ireland. He's in Dublin, Ireland.
All right.
He is a law enforcement officer with the Blue Day House Motorcycle Club, and he usually closes out our radio show with prayer. Would you like to stay on the line and just be part of that prayer with us?
Yes, thank you, please.
All right. Preacher, you ready?
Good evening, gentlemen. A fantastic show yet again.
All right, Preacher, if you can just close us out with a prayer. We have the police commissioner and Congressman Floyd McLendon on. Keep screwing up his last name.
And he probably appreciates you calling him Congressman.
He is future Congressman Floyd McLendon.
Yes.
Hey, next time I see you, you're gonna drop down and give me 20 push-ups.
I will. Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Preacher. Hit mute. Hang on.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Because we got him on a cell phone.
12 made to hit the mute button.
Maybe. Are you there, Preacher?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead. We're having to do it the old-fashioned way again, so go ahead. You're on the mic.
Okay, well look, give me 2 minutes, I'll get through this, because I was listening to everything tonight, and I scrolled into Acts of the Apostles when Paul was under guard and he was preaching, and he said these few words. He said, "Go to this people and say, you will be ever hearing but never understanding. You will be ever seeing but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become closed. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears, understanding with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them." And just listening tonight, and I just say this to the Congress man and the chief there, because they're dealing with people all the time, that they would speak in such a way that people's eyes and ears and hearts would warm to them, and that they would hear their words and understand what they're saying. And I pray as well for that when the police officers are on the street and they're trying to talk to people, that people's ears and hearts would be open to listen to what they're saying to them, to help them, and not be always resistant. I just pray, Lord, that you look after everybody, and everybody that's on the show tonight talking, and that has been saying fantastic words here and sharing different parts of their life, Lord, that you would bless us all and keep us all safe, and let your words flow through our blood and flow through our hearts, that we will always be reaching out to people for to help them and work with our communities, and that we can touch their lives and be part of them. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Preacher.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us on the 99% Radio Network. And, once again, thank all our guests, Mike, Terry, Commissioner, and Floyd, and Melinda. Thank you guys so much. And John Walsh sitting in the background from Omega Gamma Delta. Iota out of Grapevine.
Hey, John.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you all.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, guys. I know you guys had a really busy schedule, and thank you for taking the time to call in and share some stories and share some good times with us.
Hey, Chief, if you're free on the 22nd, y'all come over there and walk the bridge with us.
Absolutely. So October 22nd, we're actually going to be out of the state, so we're going to have to miss it. But any other time,
every 22nd of every month.
Commissioner Kiker will keep me in the loop, and I'll definitely be there anytime I can. And look, I love the ride, so let's get my bike out there and knock the dust off.
Hey, Floyd, just for quick reference, the 22nd of every month, we do this for the symbolic. I know the numbers don't exactly match up for the 22 veterans and first responders that are committing suicide every day. So it's the 22nd of every month. You have a standing open invitation to join us. As the weather changes, we'll change the hour of the start time, but it's the 22nd. So you can always contact us on or about that time, and we'll let you know exactly what time it's happening.
Yes, sir, and I will be there when I can, when my schedule permits.
All right.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Appreciate it, Chief. Thank you.
All right.
God
thank
bless
you.
you
Thank
all.
you guys.
All right. Safe. Hey, God bless, gentlemen.
All right. Be safe.
Be safe.
All right, guys. It's about the time to wrap this up. Any last words there, 12?
Chief, thank you all. John, thank you all for coming in today. Enjoyed it. Getting a great response. This is going to be one of the best shows yet. People were interested in hearing what you had to say, and really do appreciate you making the effort to come over and realize it wasn't just only about motorcycles and stuff, but we cover all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, thank you to our guests, and I just want to put it out there that there's a good portion of 12 Watch that's going on a little cross-country ride tomorrow. We're going to be on for 4 days to Arkansas, so I wish us all a safe and enjoyable ride.
Yes. Chiefs, any final thoughts?
No. Thanks for having us.
No? John? Oh, good.
Thanks for having us.
All right, very well. John?
John, you forgot to tell everybody you're on Omega Gamma Delta Brother, too.
I am, and I'm proud of it.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of all of you.
All right, once again,
Thank you.
This is the 99% Radio Network. Join us every Wednesday from 3 to 5 right here on Fishbowl Radio Network on fbrn.us. Follow us on our Facebook page. Give us a like, give us a share, and help spread the word and help make a difference. Until next week, God bless.
Who's bad? What's up, y'all? This is the Bad Man, a.k.a. Black Sheep, your host, Tate.
What's up? This your girl, C. Renee, your favorite co-host.
Oh, yeah, it's your boy, your co-host, D-Mo.
And this is your petite powerhouse, Miss Allison Denise.
And this is the virtuous queen, Nikita. Oh, my God.
And we're the Bad Squad, bold and driven.
Where we'll be addressing the hottest topics, giving you a little bit of that common sense.
Yep, and you know we got the latest news, gossip, and entertainment.
Get ready to party, because we